In the heart of the small English village of Eldergrove, cobblestone streets wound their way past quaint cottages, each adorned with blooming flowers. The air was fragrant with the scent of honeysuckle and the warmth of fresh bread wafting from the bakery, enticing villagers to pause and enjoy a moment in their bustling lives. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the scene, the villagers' excitement mounted. It was that special time of year when Ealdred, the travelling peddler, was expected to arrive, his tales from faraway lands as prized as the wares he sold. The village square transformed into a vibrant marketplace, where stalls displayed fresh produce, handcrafted goods, and warm loaves of bread. The chatter of eager voices filled the air, and children darted about, their laughter echoing as they played tag among the adults. Among the villagers, whispers filled the air, "When will Ealdred arrive?" and "I hope he brings new stories." Ealdred was not just a merchant, he was a beloved figure, a custodian of tales that transcended time and place. His reputation as a storyteller had travelled far and wide, with whispers of his adventures spreading like wildfire. It was said he had seen more of the world than anyone could imagine, and each visit brought with it the promise of fresh excitement and wonder. As he stepped into the square, a hush fell over the crowd. The villagers turned to him, their faces aglow with anticipation. Ealdred's presence was magnetic, he radiated warmth and wisdom, drawing people in like moths to a flame. With a gentle smile, he began to spread out his wares, colorful fabrics, fragrant spices, and curious trinkets, though it was always the stories that drew the villagers in. "Gather round, my friends," he called out, his voice rich and inviting. Children darted forward, eager to settle at his feet, while adults found their places among the crowd, anticipation hanging in the air like sweet perfume. Ealdred's storytelling was a cherished tradition, and each visit left an imprint on the hearts of those who listened. The gathering, tales and treasures. As Ealdred set up his wares, the village square blossomed into a tapestry of color and sound. The stalls brimmed with fresh vegetables, their vibrant hues glistening under the soft light of dusk. Women exchanged gossip and laughter as they perused the fabrics, while men debated the merits of Ealdred's spices, which were rumored to bring flavors from distant lands to their simple meals. Among the villagers was a curious child named Alice, a spirited girl with bright red hair and freckles scattered like stars across her face. Alice was known for her insatiable curiosity and often found herself dreaming of grand adventures beyond the borders of Eldergrove. "Do you think he'll tell us about the dragons again?" she asked her friend, a shy boy named Thomas, who was more interested in watching the peddler's movements. "I hope so," Thomas replied, his wide eyes reflecting his excitement. "Last time, I dreamed of flying on a dragon's back for days." The children giggled at the thought, imagining themselves soaring through the skies on the backs of majestic creatures. Alice had a vivid imagination, and Thomas, while more reserved, loved the way her stories transported them both to far-off lands. As Ealdred's voice rose above the chatter, the villagers grew quiet, their hearts ready to be swept away into another world. He began with tales of bustling cities filled with markets that never closed, where the streets pulsed with life, and where adventures awaited at every corner. His stories danced through the air, painting vivid pictures in the minds of his listeners. But it was when he prepared to tell the story of King Alfred that the atmosphere shifted. Ealdred's expression grew serious, the weight of history filled the space between him and his audience. The children felt a tingling excitement, aware that something special was about to unfold. "Tonight, let me share with you the story of King Alfred," Ealdred began, his tone shifting to one filled with gravity. "Once upon a time, in a land not so different from our own, King Alfred ruled over England during a time of great unrest. His kingdom faced threats from invaders, and the very fabric of his reign was under siege." The children leaned in closer, their eyes wide with fascination. Ealdred continued, weaving an intricate tale filled with bravery and hardship, illustrating a kingdom fraught with turmoil. King Alfred, burdened by the crown's responsibilities, often felt isolated in his struggles, as though he were an island in a vast sea of uncertainty. Overwhelmed by the weight of his crown, Ealdred narrated, the king decided to walk among his people in disguise, yearning to understand their plight. He donned the simple clothes of a common man, hoping to see the world through their eyes. As he described Alfred's journey through the countryside, the listeners could almost feel the chill of the night air and the weight of the king's worries pressing down upon him. Ealdred's voice softened as he recounted Alfred's encounters with various villagers, each revealing a layer of their daily struggles and dreams. The more Alfred learned, the more he realized how disconnected he had become from the very people he swore to protect. 3. The Tale of King Alfred. A kingdom in turmoil. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of orange and purple, Alfred found himself wandering into a humble village. The cottages were simple, their thatched roofs low and welcoming, the gardens bursting with late summer blooms. He felt a pang of longing as he observed the everyday lives of his subjects, children playing, women weaving, and men tending to their livestock. It was here that he stumbled upon a peasant's home, where the inviting glow of a fire flickered through the window. Drawn by the warmth, Alfred approached and knocked lightly on the door. A kind-faced woman opened it, her hands dusted with flour. "Good evening, traveler. Come in," she urged, her voice friendly and warm. Alfred stepped inside, grateful for the shelter from the evening chill. The interior was cozy, filled with the savory scent of a stew simmering over the fire. As they sat together, the woman offered him a simple meal of bread and broth. "You look weary, my friend. What brings you to our humble village?" she inquired, her eyes shining with curiosity. "I am but a wanderer, seeking stories and wisdom," Alfred replied, allowing a hint of the truth to slip through his disguise. As they ate, the woman lamented the king's inability to protect his kingdom. "We are left to fend for ourselves, my lord," she said, not knowing who sat before her. "It seems our cries for help go unheard," her words struck a chord within Alfred. He listened intently as she shared tales of hardship, crops failing, families struggling, and fears of invaders looming over their heads like dark clouds. She spoke with passion, her voice tinged with a mix of hope and despair. "If only the king could hear us, perhaps he would understand," she sighed. Alfred felt a swell of emotion. Here was a woman whose spirit remained unbroken despite her struggles, and in her heartfelt lament, he found a truth that would change his reign forever. He realized that true strength lay not in power, but in the trust of the people. IV. The lesson learned. A king transformed. The conversation lingered in Alfred's mind as he returned to his castle that night. He sat in silence, staring at the flickering flames in the hearth, his heart heavy with the weight of responsibility. The peasant woman's words echoed in his thoughts, reminding him of the disconnect that had grown between him and his subjects. As dawn broke, painting the world in hues of pink and gold, Alfred awoke with a newfound resolve. He would not be a distant king, isolated from his people. Instead, he would strive to understand their needs and fears, to earn their trust and loyalty. The decision marked a turning point in his reign. Days turned into weeks, and Alfred began to implement changes. He summoned his advisors and shared the wisdom he had gained during his time in disguise. "We must listen to the people," he declared, his voice steady and firm. "Our strength lies in their trust, and we must work together to rebuild our kingdom." His advisors were taken aback, some skeptical, while others were inspired by the king's vision. Slowly, Alfred introduced fairer laws, ensuring that every voice was heard in matters of governance. He organized gatherings where villagers could share their concerns openly, fostering a sense of community that had long been absent. Word spread throughout the kingdom about the king's new approach. Villagers began to speak up, sharing their stories and challenges, and with each encounter, Alfred's understanding deepened. He learned of their struggles, their dreams, and the burdens they carried. In turn, he shared tales of bravery and hope, inspiring them to stand united against the challenges they faced. The impact on the children, a promise to lead back in Eldergrove. As Ealdred's tale reached its climax, the children in the square began to stir with inspiration. The lessons learned from King Alfred's story resonated within their hearts, sparking ideas of how they could make a difference in their own small ways. Alice, with her fiery spirit, stood up, her voice ringing clear. "I want to be like King Alfred. I'll help my mother with the chores without being asked." Her declaration drew smiles and nods from her friends, who were equally inspired. Thomas, emboldened by Alice's promise, added, "And I'll listen more to my little sister. Sometimes I forget she has her own worries." His words sparked a round of pledges from the others. "I'll share my toys with the other children," declared a boy named Samuel, his voice full of determination. "We can all have fun together." Another child, a quiet girl named Ellen, looked thoughtful. "Maybe we could have a story-sharing circle," she suggested. "We could tell each other our dreams and listen to each other's stories." The idea was met with enthusiastic agreement. Soon, they were all brainstorming ways to create a space where everyone felt heard and valued, much like King Alfred had done for his people. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden glow over the village square, the children made a pact. They would become better leaders in their own small ways, embodying the spirit of kindness and understanding that Ealdred had shared. VI. Ealdred's departure. Wisdom shared. As the night deepened and the stars twinkled overhead, Ealdred prepared to take his leave. The villagers gathered around him, gratitude evident in their faces. The bonds forged in that square were stronger than ever, and the lessons learned from King Alfred's tale had taken root in their hearts. "Remember, my friends," Ealdred said, his voice resonating with warmth, "wisdom is not just in the stories I share but in how you choose to live your lives. The lessons of the past are not merely tales, they are guides for your journey." With heartfelt goodbyes, the villagers promised to carry forward the lessons learned. Alice approached Ealdred, her eyes sparkling with gratitude. "Thank you for sharing the story. I promise to be a good leader." Ealdred smiled down at her, his heart swelling with pride. "And you will be, my dear. Remember, it's the small acts of kindness that can make the greatest difference." As he walked away from the village square, the villagers waved, a sense of hope and unity surrounding them. Ealdred felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He knew that the seeds of wisdom he had planted would grow into a vibrant tapestry of community spirit. 7. Conclusion. The legacy of the story. In the days that followed, the children of Eldergrove began to embody the spirit of the story Ealdred had shared. Alice took it upon herself to organize playtime for the younger children, fostering a sense of community and joy. She created games that encouraged teamwork and kindness, reminding everyone of the importance of supporting one another. Thomas became a protector of the younger kids, always willing to listen and lend a hand. He started a weekly gathering where the children could share their concerns, much like the king had done with his subjects. It became a cherished tradition, and the children looked forward to these meetings, where their voices could be heard and valued. Ellen's story-sharing circle blossomed into something beautiful. Each week, the children would gather in a grassy clearing under a grand oak tree, sharing their dreams, hopes, and stories. They learned from one another, fostering understanding and compassion among their peers. As autumn arrived, the village of Eldergrove felt different. A sense of unity and kindness permeated the air, transforming their small community into a place where every voice mattered. Inspired by King Alfred's legacy, the villagers found strength in one another, determined to face the challenges that lay ahead together. And as for Ealdred, he continued on his journey, a wandering bard spreading tales of wisdom wherever he went, knowing that every story shared had the power to transform lives. In each village he visited, he sowed seeds of hope and understanding, knowing that stories, like the ones he told, had the ability to bridge the gaps between people and forge connections that could last a lifetime. The legacy of King Alfred and the wisdom of the peddler would live on in the hearts of those in Eldergrove, reminding them that true leadership is about service, understanding, and the bonds we create with one another.